Hello and welcome to Dott TV Meet the News. I am Chiamaka Ezapata, beginning with stories from Delta State. The Delta State Police Command has arrested popular Asaba-based content creator Ifeanyi Ogbonna, popularly known as Odogu of Asaba, over allegations of rape involving a 20-year-old woman who later died. The command said the suspect was arrested following a petition alleging that the deceased traveled to Asaba on June 1, 2026 after being invited by the content creator who had reportedly offered to train her in content creation through a program advertised on his social media platforms. Police said the suspect allegedly lodged the young woman in a hotel where he allegedly raped and physically assaulted her. According to the command, the victim later returned home in a distressed state and narrated the incident to her parents. The police further disclosed that before her death, the woman recorded a video in which she recounted her ordeal and the emotional trauma she experienced following the alleged assault. She was said to have later taken a toxic substance in an apparent suicide attempt and eventually died despite efforts to save her.
This will be the last video of me, the whole world. Last video of me, the whole world will be seeing. By the time you will be seeing this video, I'm already dead. And because of my death, is Odogu Asaba. He stays in Panam Road, BTS, Panam Road. Which is by Hilton Hotel. I think that's the name of the Hilton Hotel. He has a boutique in the hotel. His boutique is inside the reception of that hotel. Once you get to Midfield Junction, in Asaba, by Panam Road, Midfield Junction, you see the hotel. It's the first hotel by the road by Midfield Junction, by your left. He's a big content creator. He has a sales girl called Obozono and Shioma. This video is dedicated to him. As at last 2 weeks, Friday, I can't remember the actual date, but last 2 weeks, Friday. Today date is 14. I'm making this video on the 14th. So last 2 weeks, Friday from on the 14th. This was when this event happened. First of all, I met him online on Monday, which is on Monday before Friday. And I told him that I'm going through some problems. I need money to sort out the family problem. But I was worried. And I told him that I know of a man. He has helped me a lot when I was in Asaba. But the man is not staying in Asaba. The man is staying in Abuja. But he wants to stick with me. So I can't go. And I texted him that I need his advice. And I texted him for that advice. So I will know if he will be able to give me any ideas, like advice or any ideas of how to make money or just advice. I just needed someone to talk to because I don't have a friend. I don't have any friend. I told him, he said I should not go. Even without me telling him. Yet I would have not still go to that Abuja because I've not been to Abuja once before. Secondly, I know I'm a virgin. That was why I told him. And I would have still not do it. I just told him to just let the burden out of me. He said I should not go. That I should come to meet him in Asaba on Friday. When he told me to come and meet him on Friday, he said I should come and meet him on Friday. He's going to help me. He did not tell me that let me come, that let him sleep with me. He's going to give me the amount of money I want. No. He just told me, come to us. Can you come to us on Friday? I will help you. My phone was on disappear mode, so I don't have screenshots of those messages anymore. But I'm sure it will be on his phone. Since my phone is on 24-hour disappear, My own chart will not appear in his side, but his own will appear. And his own is more evidence because the chart will be there when he told me to come, that he wants to help me. And he did not engage on any conversation with me with sex. That will not say, okay, I'm going there. I know he wants to sleep with me with the money. No, there was no conversation of such. So we planned on Friday. I went to the park. He said I should get to the park and call him. I went there, he called me on video call to be sure I'm in the park. He sent me the transport fare to pay because I told him I don't have a dime. I went there. My parents was not away. None of my family members are away. I later told my sister, my twin sister, I'm going to Asaba. And I sent her the phone number and the man in case anything happened to me. But I didn't tell her what I was going there for because me, I don't know. I got there. I went to his shop. From there, he said he wants to go to the car wash. He went to the car wash, then he went to the hotel. In my mind, what is he doing in the hotel? I was like, okay, maybe that's where he normally stays. So even before we entered, they told me that this is where he normally lodge, normally stay most times. I said, okay. I was not scared. I didn't have it in mind that I would do anything of sex because he's a popular person and he would not want to try do rubbish because people might drag him online. That was where my mistake came from. I went inside, started saying stuff, relaxing, he wants to be with me.
Away from that unfortunate development, the Delta State government says it is strengthening measures to safeguard student, staff, and educational facilities from security threats through the Safe School Initiative. The Commissioner for Higher Education, Nyerowo Tonikari, made this known in an interview with Dott TV correspondent Onyeka Odiase.
Professor Tony Curry outlined the Delta State's ongoing efforts to enhance security and strengthen protective measures across educational institutions.
Delta State is a very safe state, and our governor, Elder Sheriff Obolewore, is very particular about security. I know that's one of the items of the MOA agenda. So he has worked very tirelessly to make sure that Delta State is safe.
He noted that attacks on schools are not prevalent in Delta State, adding that the administration of Governor Sheriff Obolewore remains committed to maintaining a safe and secure learning environment through sustained investment in education sector.
His Excellency, in his wisdom, have approved that hostels should be built for all 9 tertiary institutions in Delta State. That is to reduce the students staying outside the campus because they are very safe within the campus. This whole thing is designed to increase the safety of the students.
Speaking further, the commissioner shared his perspective on what schools, particularly tertiary institutions, should represent for learners, emphasizing that they must provide an environment that promotes learning, personal development, and academic excellence.
We have 9 tertiary institutions in Delta State. In fact, Delta State have one of the highest number of higher education students anywhere in the country. There are 4 universities, 3 polytechnics, and 2 colleges of education. And they're all doing well, and they are safe. And one of the reasons is that we're very particular. The schools are autonomous, and many of them are fenced. If you look at the 2026 budget, you find out that some of these institutions that are not fully fenced, we have budget for them for fencing.
Professor Tony Curry also reflected on his experiences during his school days, recalling a time when insecurity was not a major concern. He expressed his desire for every Deltan to enjoy the same sense of peace and safety and reaffirmed the state government's commitment to continually improving security across educational institutions.
I was walking about 2 kilometers to primary school, secondary school about 3 or 4 kilometers. I went to University of Maiduguri, all the way from Saple, that's where I grew up. Going to school, taking the bus to Onisha, from Onisha to Maiduguri, everything was really no problem then. It was safe and people were happy. They were comfortable. I went through happy times, and that is what I wish for all Deltans.
Onyeka Odiase, Dott TV News.
Meanwhile, Delta State government says it has increased its internally generated revenue from about 84 billion naira in 2023 to over 200 billion naira as the Governor Sheriff Oboriwori administration intensifies efforts to build a resilient economy less dependent on crude oil. The government disclosed this when a high-powered delegation of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission paid a court visit to the state to assess its progress in economic diversification and enhanced revenue generation.
Speaking during the engagement, the Commissioner for Economic Planning, Sunday Ekedayeng, declared that Delta was deliberately repositioning its economy through strategic investment in agriculture, industrialization, and other non-oil sectors capable of guaranteeing sustainable growth. Ekedayeng disclosed that the dramatic increase in internally generated revenue (IGR) was achieved without raising personal income tax rates, attributing the feat to the expansion of the tax net, improved tax administration, stronger compliance mechanisms, and more effective revenue enforcement.
Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Committee, as we all know, are responsible for the allocation of our common resource. They are not only sharing, but they are also looking at how, the cake can be bigger. And as such, they have the mandate of, the federal government to say, look, go out to these states and see how they are diversifying their revenue sources away from the central oil. That is why they are here. It takes only a very responsible and thoughtful government and leadership to begin to think like that.
Also speaking, the Commissioner for Finance, Fidelis Tilije, said the Oborowori administration was laying the foundation for accelerated industrialization through strategic investment in critical infrastructure, particularly energy. He disclosed that Governor Sheriff Oborowori had directed that the Kwale Industrial Park be fully energized ahead of its inauguration, revealing that prospective investors were already positioning themselves to commence operations once the facility becomes operational.
Right Honorable Sheriff Oborowori has continued to showcase for all distance to see. I recall very vividly that about a month or so ago, there was a directive to the Commissioner for Energy to ensure that Delta State is completely energized. And you're also aware too that we had gone to do the inauguration, not commissioning now, of the Kwale Industrial Park. And as we speak today, if you get to Kwale Industrial Park, you will see that there are anchor tenants that are already positioning to really start serious business in that environment.
Earlier, Chairman of the RAMFAC Mobilization and Diversification Committee, Victor Eboiwe, described overdependence on oil revenue as economically dangerous, warning that decades of reliance on crude oil had exposed governments at all levels to the uncertainties of the international energy market. He stressed that diversification remains the only sustainable pathway to economic stability, improved government revenue, and long-term prosperity.
Many states of the Federation, including the federal government, have grown to become highly dependent on revenue from source, namely oil and gas. It is self-evident and has been repeatedly proven by our economic experience in the last 40 years that such dependence is dangerous and unhealthy for economic growth and development.
Speaking with journalists after the meeting, the Federal Commissioner representing Delta State in the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, Martins Eyeweather, said the visit formed part of the Commission's routine oversight responsibility to assess how public resources are being utilized, particularly in relation to economic diversification.
We move from state to state to see how the money and funds allocated to the states are being utilized for the relevant sectors. In this particular case, it has to do with the diversification of the state economy, and that is why we are here.
The RAMFAC delegation applauded Delta State for what it described as impressive presentations on its economic transformation initiatives, while urging sustained collaboration to consolidate the gains already recorded. The team expressed optimism that continued synergy between the federal and Delta State governments would further strengthen the state diversification agenda, expand revenue generation, and accelerate inclusive economic development for the benefit of its people. Ife Arono for Dott TV News.
The fluctuating price of liquefied petroleum gas, popularly known as cooking gas, has become a growing concern for households and businesses across Asaba, the Delta State capital. In recent weeks, the price of cooking gas has gone up from 1,400 naira per kilogram to as high as 1,700 in some locations. The inconsistent pricing has left many consumers confused as there is no uniform cost despite purchasing the same product. Cynthia Adanaya completes the report.
Cooking gas remains one of the most widely used sources of energy in homes, restaurants, bakeries, and other businesses because of its convenience and cleaner burning property. However, residents say the frequent price fluctuations have made it difficult to plan their household budgets. Many say they are now resorting to alternative sources of energy, such as firewood and charcoal for cooking, despite the health and environmental risks associated with their use, especially at a time when the cost of living continues to rise.
Minimum wage is, I think, is 70,000. So when you buy gas of 1.5 or 1.3, how much are you receiving? They will talk about the house rent. So before you minus all those things, you will know that you don't have any money left out. Many people are using charcoal, but I think it's not even advisable because everywhere is stinky because of the charcoal stuff. So I just wish the gas will reduce 100%.
The price of the gas has to go down as much as possible to accommodate the lower class persons. At least, let's say 500, 600, 700, because there are people that cannot earn up to 5,000 in a day.
Gas retailers say the varying prices are beyond their control, explaining that they depend on the prices offered by suppliers and depot owners, as well as transportation costs and prevailing market conditions. Some respondents, particularly owners of gas plants, also maintain that the price of cooking gas is influenced by several factors, including product availability, foreign exchange fluctuations, transportation costs, and operating expenses.
Because of that the fight going on between Iraq and US, that's one of the cause of the fluctuation, because basically we from this side of the world, Nigeria in particular, we tend to, or the government tend to send our crude down to the other side, the other part of the world. So getting that refined crude, it take more resources. Trying to process and do every other stuff gets very difficult. Before, they buy 20 tons, around 18 million, but now you see 25, close to 30 million.
As residents continue to grapple with the fluctuating prices of cooking gas, many are calling for stronger collaboration between government agencies, suppliers, and marketers to help stabilize the market and make clean cooking energy more affordable and accessible. Reporting from Asaba, Cynthia Adanaya, Dott TV News.
Outside Delta, a gas-laden truck exploded on Tuesday night at an army checkpoint along the Abuja-Lokoja Federal Highway in Kogi State, killing at least 6 people. The explosion occurred near the Chikara Division and triggered an emergency response from the police, the Federal Road Safety Corps, and the Motor Traffic Division. According to an eyewitness, the truck carrying gas cylinders exploded as it approached the checkpoint, sparking a massive fire that engulfed 3 other trucks. The driver and motorboy of the gas truck, along with the drivers and motorboys of the affected trucks, were burnt to death, bringing the death toll to 6. Still ahead on the midday news, Tinubu says Nigeria is making serious foundational progress. Plus foreign and sports stories coming up after this timeout. Please stay with us.
In the heart of Asaba,
where the street tells the stories every single day.
From the corridors of powers to the decisions shaping governance and politics in Delta and Nigeria.
From traders counting every naira to families battling rising costs and uncertain times.
From football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. Dott TV News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them.
Thanks for still being there. Now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu has said that Nigeria is making serious foundational progress as his administration's economic reforms continue to stabilize the economy. Speaking while receiving a delegation from Deloitte Africa, led by its Chief Executive Officer, Ruwaida Redfern, at the State House in Abuja, the president defended the administration's fiscal and revenue reforms, acknowledging that they had come with difficult decisions, but insisting that they were producing positive results. Tinubu said the reforms had strengthened the country's fiscal and revenue systems, repositioned financial institutions, and enhanced Nigeria's global competitiveness. He also urged Deloitte Africa to deepen its engagement in Nigeria by expanding opportunities for youth training and employment, noting the country's large and dynamic young population. To other stories, Justice Joyce Abdulmalik of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has ordered the final forfeiture of more than 40 properties linked to former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami. Judge Abdulmalik granted the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's application after holding that the respondents failed to report the reasonable suspicion that the properties were acquired through unlawful activities. Before delivering the substantive judgment, the judge dismissed several applications, motions and notice, and applications to show cause filed by Mr. Malami, his family members, and some companies linked to the properties, describing them as wanting in merit. She held that the issue before the court was not who owns the property, but how legitimate are the funds used to acquire the properties. According to the judge, the respondents had not dislodged the reasonable suspicion that the property was acquired by unlawful activities. The FCC had instituted the civil forfeiture proceedings in January, seeking the permanent forfeiture of 57 properties valued at 212.8 billion naira, which it alleged were proceeds of unlawful activities linked to the AGF and the minister. And the federal government has concluded its evacuation of Nigerians stranded in South Africa, with the final repatriation flight arriving at the Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, carrying 308 returnees. The aircraft, which also conveyed 3 government officials involved in the operation, landed at about 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday, bringing the total number of Nigerians repatriated during the exercise to more than 1,500. Minister of Foreign Affairs Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu commended President Bola Tinubu for authorizing the evacuation, describing the intervention as a timely response that helped protect Nigerians affected by recent xenophobic attacks in South Africa. She said the president's decision to extend the evacuation beyond the June 30 deadline issued by anti-migrant groups reflected his commitment to the safety and welfare of Nigerians facing crisis abroad. For news on the international scene, let's now join Priscilla Ifeanyi.
Tehran has launched fresh attacks on U.S. military bases in neighboring Gulf states, while Washington continues to strike sites across Iran overnight. Tehran said it has struck targets in the region, including in Jordan, Kuwait, and Bahrain, as the sixth day of renewed hostilities strained their preliminary deal to end the war. Meanwhile, the U.S. military said it inflicted a 6-hour wave of strikes in multiple locations to degrade Iran's ability to threaten innocent mariners in the Strait of Hormuz. The latest exchanges came after U.S. President Donald Trump warned Iran it had better behave or face further military actions should Iran not return to the negotiation. On Tuesday, Trump threatened to target Iran's energy infrastructure if Tehran fails to return to talks. The U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has announced that military personnel aged 30 and older will undergo testing for testosterone deficiency as part of the annual health screenings. In a video posted on X captioned High T Department, Hegseth said he was authorizing the screening program for troops to ensure they have the right testosterone levels to operate at their absolute best. Troops with low testosterone levels will be offered voluntary hormone replacement therapy, with the T-test said to be optional for those younger than 30. Hegseth did not specify whether the screening would apply to women whose testosterone levels also decline as they age.
I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best.
Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer has said the U.S. cast iron support for Ukraine will continue as he makes a final trip to the country as Prime Minister. He will meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the capital Kyiv later today ahead of Andy Burnham's installation as leader and Prime Minister. In comments ahead of his trip, Sir Keir Starmer said the fortitude of the Ukrainian people since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022 has preserved the security of Europe. Today is Sir Keir Starmer's last day as leader of the Labour Party, with Andy Burnham set to be declared leader on Friday, before meeting the King to be formally invited to form a new government as Prime Minister on Monday. 11 people have died in a fire at foster care facility in Algiers, Algeria's capital city. The country's Civil Protection Department said 19 others were injured in the blaze, which firefighters were still attempting to extinguish at about 6:50 local time on Thursday. Authorities did not specify the ages of those killed or injured. The Civil Protection Department statement said, amid the fire, 5 people with special needs were taken into care and transported to a safe location. Priscilla Ifeanyi, Dott TV News.
Up next is sports news with Anthony Uche.
Argentina's quest for a second World Cup in as many tournaments survived yet another scare as the South American champions came from a goal down to defeat England in Atlanta on Wednesday. The first half of the encounter was littered with 19 fouls and no notable chances created, but the game burst into life in the 55th minute when Anthony Gordon gave England the lead. Argentina, however, were inspired and turned the contest around when Enzo Fernandez struck a magnificent equalizer with 5 minutes left before Lautaro Martinez headed in a stoppage-time winner from Lionel Messi's cross. England's 60-year wait for success goes on as they now face France in the third-place playoffs on Saturday, while Argentina will attempt to retain their crown against Spain on Sunday in New Jersey. Argentina faced the prospect of disciplinary action from FIFA after their players celebrated the World Cup semi-final victory against England with a banner supporting their country's claims to the Falklands Islands. After the final whistle, Argentina players celebrated while holding a banner reading Las Malvinas son Argentinas, which translates as the Falklands are Argentine. The Falkland Islands in the southwest Atlantic Ocean remains the subject of a sovereignty dispute between Britain and Argentina. Two nations went to war over the group of islands situated 300 miles off Argentina's east coast from April to June 1982. And in 2014, FIFA fined the Argentine Football Association £20,000 after its players held up a banner with the same image before a friendly against Slovenia. The world's football governing body said the gesture had breached rules on political action and team misconduct. Now to some domestic news, where the Super Falcons of Nigeria will face Ghana's Black Queens in a friendly match as part of their build-up to the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. With the fixtures set for Stade El Arabi Zaouli in Casablanca on Saturday, Justin Madugu's side opened camp in Casablanca on Monday as final preparations got underway ahead of the tournament. Still talking Nigerian football, Super Eagles marksman Victor Osimhen has revealed that he plans to return to school to pursue a degree in university once his football career comes to an end. The Galatasaray striker says earning a university degree will be a personal milestone and a message to young people that education is never out of reach, whatever their circumstances. From the sports desk, Anthony Uche for Dott TV News.
And that's a wrap on the media news on Dott TV. Thank you for joining us. I am Chiamaka Ezapata.